ठीक है, अगर कुछ दिखाना होगा तो शोकेस कर लेंगे।
No, I did not enter my name. Wait, join now.
हाय राम।
Yes, Saurabh. Am I audible, Saurabh?
यस यस, यू आर ऑडिबल।
Hi, Ram. Hey, Maninder. Ravni, everyone is on, or we should wait for some time?
लेट्स वेट फॉर 1 more minute as it was scheduled for 4 p.m.
Oh, yeah, it is scheduled for 4 p.m.
Hi, Ram.
Hey,
I think it is already 4. We can start. So, guys, good evening, everyone. So,
Good evening.
let me quickly. Hello, you can hear me, right? Okay, fine. So, let me quickly introduce our guest today. So, we have Ram with us. So, he's an experienced digital solution architect with a professional experience on design and development. He has worked with many enterprise solutions with multiple cloud and digital transformation programs. So today, basically, he'll be talking about generative AI, open AI models, LLM models, how we as entity can adapt those models, and more on handling data, unstructured data or structured data. And then in the end, he will be touching ways to prompt engineering, what it is and why it is useful and important and all that. These are the topics that we'll be covering. Once he is done with the session, we'll have a Q&A session in the end, Q&A discussion in the end. So please feel free to ask your queries when end of the session. So I'll hand over to Ram to start with this session.
okay. Thank you, Maninder, and thanks, Ahex team. So I would prefer it to be more interactive session, so I would not run through a lot of presentations. I would directly jump onto the demo mode. But feel free to ask questions, put questions in the chat, and definitely other thing is I would like to at least give you 20 minutes of our time for Q&A. If not, I have few topics which I can cover if you have no questions there. Okay, how many of you know what is generative AI? I mean, I know everybody knows ChatGPT, but do you really know what is generative AI? So these are few key terms which are necessarily needed to understand the deeper meaning of what is generative AI. Just thinking that it's a chatbot, because chatbot is with us for a while now. But what has changed? Why ChatGPT is more? Maninder, can I share my screen? I'm not able to share my screen.
You should be able to say, Sarvani, can you please moderate? I think she has disabled. Sarvani, you there in the group?
Yes,
So
I
you
just
can
got
share
it.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, I can
Yes.
see.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So generative AI is nothing but normally until now you already know I mean, whether it's banks, wherever you go, there is always a chatbot on a website here which will ask questions and you get a response. But that is more like a Q&A. You have a specific set of questions for which they will answer, and there is not much of a learning which goes on behind the scenes. But with generative AI, what it means is it is generating its own algorithms based on what you have fed. So that is one of the key criteria for it, and it's always continuously learning. Whereas with the old school chatbots, which you might have already built, it's just that it's a simple Q&A or frequently asked questions which you put it in a chatbot. You ask the questions, maybe here and there you connect to a backend systems, and you will be getting the data. Basically, for example, if you are working on a CRM system and you are interacting with the customer, it already knows that you are a specific customer and your needs are more or less defined. Whereas with generative AI and especially with ChatGPT, the horizon has been expanded, where it is continuously learning from what you're fed to that system. And another unique thing which it works on is unstructured data. It is I think there are around 110 million documents which it has processed to understand what you are expecting from ChatGPT. There are other models. OpenAI is currently built on their algorithms by skimming through close to 110 million documents, which are available in the web. So everybody is fighting to get that premium spot. Even Bard is doing the same. Any questions very specific to generative AI? Okay, so that is one part of the modeling. Okay, ChatGPT. There are other models as well. I think you might have already seen it. You give them I can generate an image by just prompting it. Can I get an image for CompScope? For example, I work there. It will give you something based on the people who have been using CompScope and who have fed the data into the ChatGPT, not ChatGPT model, typically OpenAI models. It understands and it generates the image out of the box, which I will demonstrate it later. That is called as DAL-A algorithm. So there are a lot of other algorithms which are generating based on your prompt. It's not like it's a preset of answers which are already available. That is generative AI for you. Then there are other models. I can run through different use cases. Live example is we have 2 unique use cases which we have implemented for us. And other aspect to it, people think that this will definitely it will disrupt the technology and the landscape and how you deal with your customers. Whatever you are doing, it will change, but it doesn't mean that you will lose your job. So critical aspect, especially with this kind of disruptions, is you have to adapt to those technologies, stay ahead of the curve, work with the technology rather than getting scared of the technology. So generative AI helps you a lot as well. Whenever you are looking for a specific solution, it gives you 5 different solutions. One could be very good with performance, one could be very good with UI, one could be very good with readability. You can pick and choose which solution you want, especially whenever you're working with the generative AI, because it scans through so many millions of lines of code. It can always give you a better initial prompt of why can't you use this code. You can decide always whether do I want to use it or not. So that is also another generative AI which is happening behind the scenes. So based on your query, it is more or less contextualized for you. It's not like ready-made set answer Q&A, for example. Just you can't put your name and say that, okay, say Ram, this is your account balance. But end of the day, we know how chatbot works. It just takes my name and predefined answer, and already whatever is the value, it just prompts there. That is the regular bots which we are working with. Whereas with generative AI, it understands who Ram is, why he has looked for this one, and as soon, there is also chain which comes into picture. Like generative AI, if you put a context to one question, for example, if you are a chat. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, someone was asking me something. Hello. Okay. So that being said, now probably everybody knows what McKinsey is. So what is McKinsey telling about disruptions which is happening at business level? So predominantly, most of the time, especially in marketing and sales, it's been extensively used. And one of our use cases is for marketing and sales. Especially IT engineering, again, I'm not sure how many of you know what is GitHub Copilot, but behind the scenes, there is something called as OpenAI's Codex algorithm, which has been built by OpenAI. And GitHub has used that one and built its own Copilot platform as an interface on top of that Codex algorithm. Okay. So, at a high level, especially for us, the most critical places where it is really used is, first one is IT operations. Coding, you have to start looking at GitHub Copilot. It is really, I would not say path-breaking, because previously also the IDEs, coding IDEs were giving you intelligent answers on what you want to write. But definitely it can understand the context better, whereas intelligence, it was more or less whatever is fed, it used to prompt it there. Whereas here, if you give a prompt saying that I want to write the code for so and so, it will give you the complete code set understanding the context of what you have written, multiple classes, if you have written it, understand that context and gives you the answer. Okay. So these are a couple of use cases which I can share it with you, but McKinsey has already started adopting it. And for any technology, right, it's easy to use. Yes, it is. But how to leverage it is the art which especially people who are in IT needs to understand. First one is the data security. How are you sensitive? I mean, there are always biases whenever you use algorithms. And especially if you are working in a financial sector and any other sector, you have to be very careful on what is the answer, because you will never get 100% accurate answers from ChatGPT or any other algorithm. There is a human who has to validate it. And that bias can create a lot of problems as well. So that is one aspect of it where IT can help, especially folks like you can help. Saying that if it is just using ChatGPT, I mean, they don't need anybody else who can help us write the code or others. But in the real sense, even if they want to use ChatGPT, you can help them leverage that ChatGPT in a better way. Same thing with GitHub Copilot. Everybody says that we can use GitHub Copilot, but there should be a governance model. If you are able to build a boilerplate code, which is more robust, using GitHub Copilot, they will not use the GitHub Copilot anymore, because you can give them the appropriate solution which fits them, because that context only you can give it to the problem. Okay. Okay, that being said, I will run through a couple of use cases which we have encountered and how we resolve that problem. So first one is data. I think you might already be aware or you read about it. Samsung R&D division started using ChatGPT, and their code is now publicly sourced. They can't fight for a patent. And suddenly everybody said no one needs to use ChatGPT anymore in the organizations. Apple doesn't allow you to do it. Samsung R&D doesn't allow you to do it. That's where Microsoft took a good bet, I would put it. And it has invested in OpenAI, consumed most of the capabilities which OpenAI provides, and made it ready for enterprises to consume. Okay, how is that? So that's where I would like to show you this. So this is a Microsoft OpenAI platform. Okay, it is same ChatGPT models which we are feeding into. Everything is the same. Only difference here is I can give my own data set for using that model, and it will be only used by my organization. My queries, whatever chat I'm putting in is also mine. Whatever learning which the model itself learns from our Q&A is also ours. It can't use that same learning into a different organization. I think this is the new trend which Google is trying to do. Google has built it because it has to compete with OpenAI. What it said is, I have one unlearning model with me, where, for example, you are fed 30,000 employees from Comscope, and it understands how people interact and everything. But you can remove the data, you can remove the questions, but the learning which the model has learned, understanding how the employees interact with each other in Comscope, that unlearning, Google has provided an unlearning model. Same thing here. I will ensure that my data is secure. That's only when that, especially enterprise customers will accept it, or else they will never accept that data. See, so that is the reason. So if whatever inputs and outputs and whatever you are training will not be used by anybody else, or they will sell that data to anybody else to improve on that or anything else. And it's whatever fine tuning you have done, it will be exclusively for you. So this is how Microsoft is trying to pitch. The way GitHub Copilot provides you an enterprise governance for using Codex algorithms. The same way Microsoft has given you this capability, which is recently in the use. And actually it's been so well adopted that you have challenges of having the capacity concerns, which normally come with, I think, ChatGPT when it initially launched, I think it crashed multiple times. Same thing even happened with Azure OpenAI as well. Okay, any questions? Yes, I think Shivam had a question, I guess.
So, my question is like when we're talking about the GitHub Copilot, so
Yes,
see, we doesn't know like all over the world the people are working with the different technologies, right?
yes.
So how the things are correlate between the technologies? Like this is for any particular technology, these lines are for different technologies. How the Copilot and this AI generative correlate these things? See, writing a normal text and writing a code, both are different things. So in the code wise, how they can differentiate, okay, this relate with this or this relate with this. Because
Okay,
like
got
in chat GPT, we generally write like I am writing in Java, this is my issue. But here we if it doesn't define that it is a Java or it is a node or it's Angular or anything, how it will correlate with that?
Yes, good question. So there are a couple of things. I would actually differ with you saying that it's more difficult to get a chat GPT answer than a code one because code is more structured. The file name which you generate itself knows it. For example, if you put .py, it understands that it is Python code. If you put .html, it understands it's HTML and CSS and there is a JavaScript behind it. And especially if it is Java, you know it's a Java. And second one is it's not just I don't have it here, but I can always demonstrate it. The amount of lines of code which it has scanned, you can never do, especially GitHub. There are two parts to the GitHub as well. There is one aspect of it which is public and one aspect of it which is private. Public, actually GitHub can use your code, for especially for metadata purposes, not your entire code, but it uses that to build your structure to it. So there is more structure to a code compared to this one. I can show this as well here. Let me run through quickly a couple of algorithms which OpenAI provides, and I can definitely showcase to you how it understands. There is some context, and also there is something called as a prompt engineering, which works in play whenever you're working with ChatGPT or any other models. Whereas, especially with GitHub Copilot, it already knows. For example, if you are using a Visual Studio and it's a solution file, it already knows from the project file what code you're writing and what is the context to it. And actually speaking, when I was trying to write a code in Python, which I'm very new to, and entire OpenAI or machine learning, whichever you take it, it's actually built on Python. The entire ecosystem is on Python. So I asked it to prompt to create a basic Python code to understand and fetch me certain data for a specific query. It actually understood that I'm actually fetching it from CSV, and it and build that entire code based on that CSV as a context, because there are other project files which it has scanned through, and there are other files which it has scanned to, and it understands that specific aspect to it. So,
Okay.
yeah. So
There's another thing that I wanted to ask. Okay, may I ask?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, what is the core difference between GPT and BART?
As I told you, bot is primarily, it's not trained. You have to train it, whereas GPT trains behind the scenes for you. For example, prompt engineering, as you do it, as you keep giving it prompts, it learns, and next time when it automatically answers for you. You can ask the same question multiple ways. It uses the, what you call LLM, the generative AI aspect, as well as a language learning model aspect of it. Both together, it understands. For example, who is Maninder? Tell me something about Maninder. Whereas chat bot, it doesn't understand those two in a context.
No, not chatbot. I'm asking about BART, BERT, Google BART.
BERT. Okay, Google Bard. Okay, Bard. Again, it's the same models. End of the day, both places. It just had a what you call a 6 months advantage, especially with OpenAI. ChatGPT with OpenAI models has a 6 months leeway, and it has scanned through the same amount of documents which Google has done. So it is more good. I would put it this way: prompt engineering aspect of it is better in OpenAI compared to Bard. But ChatGPT again, so most of them, especially whenever you are talking to any customer, ChatGPT is a fancy word which we use. Behind the scenes, that you should be using at least 1 or 2 algorithms, or else the accuracy will is not up to the mark.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you are you're typing in Maninder and typing in Maninder Singh, that
Mhm.
difference ChatGPT doesn't understand. But if you feed in it with an embedding algorithm like a DALL-E or any other algorithm, it understands your picture and it tries to correlate with that one.
So I was actually talking about not ChatGPT. I was talking about GPT-3. There are different models, right? There's a model called GPT-3.
No,
Okay,
so
which
okay.
was,
So
and there is another model called BERT. It is not BART, BERT. There's another model, right, by Google.
BRD,
So-
right? Yeah, this is what you're talking about.
BERT. Yes.
This one, okay.
Yes.
Again, I haven't played with this one, but I have
Okay.
played with.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think maybe let me read about it, but I most probably it will
Okay.
correlate to one of the models within ChatGPT or OpenAI one. Let me quickly run through it.
Okay.
Where is it? Yeah. So if you really look at models, right?
Mhm.
So Code DaVinci is nothing but that Codex model which I was talking about, GitHub, which GitHub uses.
Okay.
Use this GPT 3.5, 35 means GPT 35, okay? And there are multiple versions. One is more premium and the other one is less premium. ADA is more for text completion. For example, if at all I'm typing in, I think this capability, even we have it, but typically text ADA, what it does, it understands and sends that what is means if you have a few queries which you already asked for it, it understands that context and it tries to finish that text completion, saying that, are you looking for this? Okay. DaVinci is another interesting model which most of the people use in combination with the GPT. Is more for text extraction, aggregation. And if you are familiar with search engines, right? Typically, end of the day, everything is a search engine behind the scenes. Everybody tries to find the similarities between 2 different words or 2 different lines or 2 different chats or 2 different data sets. So that is called as vector mapping. So that kind of vector mapping, when it does, text DaVinci is much better compared to any of the GPT model or ADA or whichever it is. Okay. So these are all the models which OpenAI provides, and everything is an API. End of the day, you can always use this API as an API into any of your code base. Microsoft recommended or OpenAI recommended is if the code base is Python, it syncs very well, but it is open source. You can write it with any other language which you like for, especially for the UI aspect of it. But if you are doing prompt engineering, if you are doing machine learning aspects to your model or building on top of this model, a custom model, preferred language of choice is Python. Okay. Now, so as I was telling you, so this is DALL-E. It will generate, and we haven't fed it any data, nothing. Based on what it understands for Ahex Technologies is trying to generate the model this way. I haven't fed any data, but this is how it has generated automatically. Okay. For example, we work in telecoms. Yeah, Maninder, you had a question?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, see, we are in a telecom sector, it automatically recognizes and it is built. It's not something it's fetched it from the internet. It built it based on my prompt. Okay. So this is more about, I think you see, OpenAI, where both, I don't remember, both the Facebook guy and the Apple guy hugging each other. They are in a beach and all that are created using this model. Okay. Now completion, as I was talking to you. Let me put chat. Okay, again, these are all the models and combinations which you can do. Explain a SQL query, natural language to a SQL. All this which I'm talking about are the prompts which we can pass it to. Natural language to Python, parse and unstructured data. So for example, these are the model, generate an email, okay, classify the text. This kind of models, it is always better to use DaVinci than a ChatGPT. ChatGPT is more for understanding your context in English, plain English or whichever language it is. Okay. So these are all the models which you want to play with. Again, these models you can only play with it to understand how it works. And behind the scenes, again, we can use our APIs to build the code. Now let's do the exciting part about ChatGPT, which we normally do. So for us, the use cases, couple of use cases. One was for unstructured and second one was structured. Our use cases, for example, I think you all are aware. There is a large scale US program to have a broadband connection. Something like Digital India for US. Okay, it is for $45 billion. And it will be devolved across states, across cities and everything. So how do, as a company which sells fiber optics, which sells antennas as we speak, how do we understand it better? That's where we said, okay, and most of the documents which the governments publish are in PDFs. And it's more like a legal document which the sales team has to go through, and it has to be vetted by the legal team and others. The process itself takes a lot of time. So our aspect to it is we have the PDFs available. Why don't we understand it? We train our model using DaVinci and this model, ChatGPT model, and help us find an answer to it. So for example, and we also integrated this with Bing API. So this use case now, see, it didn't find an answer to it, but it searched in Bing with this data. Broadband for all is a California commitment, so and so, and this is what it has. And it also shows us what is the thought process. This model tells us where it searched and how it found the data. And these are the content which it fetched it from. See. Okay, so this kind of scenarios we encountered. Same case. Let me clear the chat. And let's look at North Carolina data. What is the percentage? See, according to Carolina, this report, this much percentage has this at this space. And again, this is a document. Yeah, I think someone has a question.
Yeah, hi, Sriram, this is Manisha. So I have a question. Actually, we are using this Azure services. So how can I integrate this Azure AI Studio with the app functions in the Azure?
Yeah, I'll show that as well with you in a moment. So for example, okay, let me quickly show you this. This is the code base, okay? And end of the day, we are just going to use this API and this set of parameters and a key. Okay, if you want to write it in Python, this is the code base. If you want to write it in C#, this is the code base. Azure OpenAPI just exposes this API with certain variables, and rest is your backend or front end which is executing it, handling that prompt response which you're getting. Did I answer that question? Hello?
Manisha?
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. So,
Yeah, yes, Sriram. I got this course, so we will try to integrate the same with our code, and we'll try.
Yeah, so again, as I told you, if you want to be ahead of the curve, you have to sit on the bus. Actually, this is on invite only access. You have to request for the access, whether it's Copilot, whether it's this, you have to get access as soon as possible so that you can play with it. Because the capacity concerns are already started, I highly recommend that you get the access, play with it so that you are ahead of the curve when it comes to competition. Okay.
Okay, sure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is the endpoint and this is the key which we use for writing code. Now, again, I can set up my own templates and I can restrict it. So for example, if I put like a text chatbot, it only answers it like a chatbot. It can, again, I can also use it as JSON and I can always get the response as a JSON. Okay. And you can always give some context. Again, this system message, you can always give the context and it, for example, if I say that this is an HR, this is a internal employee sales team which accesses this, it understands that context and it always tries to answer like a sales guy. Okay. I mean, these are all caveats which Microsoft added on top of OpenAI models. Okay. So now, if you see, this is the PDF which we got. Okay. But using DaVinci and form recognizer, it identified which page is really talking about broadband. I mean, it is close to like 80 pages PDF document. But for a sales guy who wants to know about Carolyn and reach and apply for some for this program and get incentives, this should be more than enough. He understands what broadband capacity and these are there, and he knows this is more like a targeted information which we get. Okay. See, and what all it has used, it has used this PDF document, this PDF document, and this PDF document before it rendered this. I mean, it tried to understand all these three documents and provide you this answer.
okay.
Okay. Again, as I said, the question is ChatGPT, and while it's responding and fetching it behind the scenes from the indexes. But the real indexing aspect of it, the complexity of handling it is done by the backend systems and not by the ChatGPT by itself. So again, I can click on this one. So this text is the easiest part when you are really looking at it from an end-to-end engineering aspect of it. But behind the scenes, this all documents, citations, and indexing it, all that complexity is behind the scenes, which we do to get this output. And ChatGPT is doing it at a large scale for us, or OpenAI does it for us. Okay. But as I was talking previously, I highly recommend start learning Python because the entire ecosystem of the business backend, whatever I was talking about, whether it's prompt engineering, indexing, search capabilities, which if you want to add it or customize it, Python is the default platform. I mean, you can always write in some other language. I'm not saying that you can't write, but the OpenAI platform is built on Python. The machine learning, most of them use Python. Okay. Yeah. So this is one of the use cases how we did this. Then let's come to the other aspect of it. How did we do it? So there are 3 or 4 key aspects for your chatbot or any other algorithm if you wants to learn from your. Yeah, Shivam, you had a question. Go ahead.
So my question is, like, we have seen generally the things are happening when the user is giving any input in the form of any text. So
Yeah.
is there in generative AI, can we see, like, now we had, means I have not seen, like, file can be also processed?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, right? This is entire PDF document which has been processed
Okay.
and providing you the specific answers to it. I mean, if you just want to show that PDF file, right? I don't think, again, that's a different, it's a natively what we are currently doing, enterprise search kind of a thing, or a Word documents and SharePoint or any other document management system is doing the same. Whereas this one, it is actually consuming all these PDF documents, providing you a very succinct answer. And also, if you need these documents to be read, it is giving you the link. You can use that link.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's more like a Instagram instead of a movie. Okay. So I would put it that way. So for example, let's look at Massachusetts. So what it does is, this is a PDF document about 50 or 80 pages. Okay. Then it wants to, I mean, not everybody is ready to read that entire document. We have given the answer and that specific page as a reference. But if you need to do the PDF, I can use that PDF at any time. Okay. And what it did is it ran through these 3 different files, like, I mean, 3 different versions of the files before it gave this answer. Okay, this is unstructured. Yeah, I think someone else had a question.
Yeah, hi again, it's Manisha. So I have a question. So I created a new project. I don't have any document for that project. I want to create a customer care support for that particular project. So how can I do that? I didn't provide any documents or any documents available in the Google or anything. So in that case, how can it going to get the data?
Yes, so there are different models to it, especially customer service. Is it for external facing or internal facing? Based on that, you can, I have multiple scenarios for you. First one is, as I told you, this model, right, ChatGPT model, there are different data sources which you can fetch it from. I can show you quickly. It could be from, again, end of the day, it always uses Azure Cognitive Services for indexing, but you can use Azure SQL, you can use data lakes, you can use CRM, as long as you are able to push that data through. And especially, for example, if you are using, I'm not sure if the scenario has a SAP already built. SAP has something called as AI core, which has done its own indexing for that system. And you can actually hook up AI core of SAP to this ChatGPT model and it will answer your queries. Okay. And it's all internal when I'm talking about you, whenever you're using OpenAI of Azure. Okay. But if you want external data as well to be displayed, that's where it becomes tricky. Do you really, I would never recommend having external data displayed on your website. First of all, there are issues of, you have to fight the legal battles. As I said, responsible AI part will come into picture. Why are you using my data for your sales pitches? Okay, that could be one. And other scenarios will come into picture, but yeah. Did I answer it, Manisha, for you?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
thank you. But in case I want to put more documents in such
So
case,
you can do it. I mean, okay, I can quickly show you one quick one, right? Again, we are currently in 2 use cases which we have tried to do, but there are more coming in. So are you able to see this?
yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So unstructured data, you save it in a blob storage, okay, like PDFs, documents, whichever it is. If you
Okay.
want to fetch it from SQL, you can fetch it from SQL. As I said, end of the day, everything needs to come to cognitive search before it goes out. Okay, for indexing purposes. You can feed CSV files and also you can feed Bing to your AI. end of the day, after the indexing, everything is in place. All you have to use is both the completion model for the text aspect of it, embedding model to get a better QA NDA answers, fed into your ChatGPT model, which will give you the end result. I can share you this link. So these are all the use cases which it covers. First one is CSV. There is also a Bing chat which is coming up, which is more or less like ChatGPT, but it is only for enterprises. Okay.
So, Ram, so most of the audience that we have today are developers actually.
Okay.
And most of the time they are using ChatGPT to search or to find better ideas on that, to take help to develop new code base, I would say.
Yes.
Okay. So the most of these people will be more interested to understand how this GPT, ChatGPT, or any other model that we have can help them develop
Okay, perfect.
or efficiently.
Perfect.
So we can focus more around it, and then we can touch base on other aspects also, but giving them more on development aspects will be more helpful, I guess.
Okay, perfect. So for example, right, let's take the example of this codex. Okay, let me
Yes.
put it in the chat. Or there are something called as codex models, which are already used, and ChatGPT uses the same.
Okay.
For you to give the answers. So what I suggest to them is, again, there are multiple open source tools which you can use. Okay. First one is, there is something called as AWS Whisper, which will auto prompt you for the solution, or if you put a comment, it will give you the answer. That is one. There is something called as GitHub Copilot Labs, which is again open source. Which I really love that one. Actually, let me, I didn't install it. Especially if you are using, I'm assuming you're using Visual Studio Code. Okay, team?
Yes, yes, right.
Yeah, so if you do this right, it will explain the code. It will ask you to change if you want, you can change the languages from one language to the other. Also, it will provide you if you want to make the code better. For example, I want a robust code for this specific block of code. It will automatically suggest a couple of options. You can choose or ignore. Okay. I think it is open source. I highly recommend you guys to use this one. And again, as I told you, always install it, get really your hands dirty with it. This is an excellent tool which you can use to.
So labs is different from the Copilot. There's a Copilot plugin also, and there's a Copilot Labs also. So what is the difference between the two?
So this is more open source. This is for more catered towards enterprises, especially for Visual Studio.
Okay.
Okay.
We can use labs, right? Okay.
Yes, I highly recommend using labs. See, okay, I haven't done anything. Let me quickly show you. Explain the code. Show example code, whichever you. Okay, I think it is, I might have to install to GitHub, but this is what it does. As long as you have GitHub account, it will allow you to explain the code, okay?
I think you need to log in, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to log in into this GitHub. I'll log in. And other one is, so if you want to document your code, I just select this and click on this one, it will document it for you. Okay. There are other ones as well. I think if you install it, you can have a more robust code as well. If you click on it, it will give you the robust code aspect of it. But this is an excellent tool which really helps developers use this. Same case, if you are working with some other platforms. Yeah, I think someone had a question. Other one is AWS. As long as you have AWS account, again, you don't need to pay for it. Code Whispers is free. You can always use this one. My personal preference is GitHub Copilot Labs, but this is also very good because entire AWS code, whatever Amazon has written until now, right? That code has been used for as a reference, and it trained Code Whisper has been trained for that code. Okay. Yeah, I think anybody has any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, Rama. So, is there any solutions for the MongoDB query generation AIs are there? So, if we have any doubts, we are going with the ChatGPT. Is there any other AI sources that we can do?
No, actually, I would suggest you to use GitHub Copilot, or that would be, I mean, again, MongoDB, the best answer you will be getting it mostly from the code. What do you want to do in MongoDB? That's another question I have. Like, are you want to build the schemas? How do you want to do it? And based on that.
So, I want to write some aggregations that will deal with the more collections merging. So, in that cases, I need a few more queries to do that.
But
that
I think definitely Copilot will be able to help you out. Whereas ChatGPT, it is more thinking in the lines of answering you like an English answer, but definitely Copilot will give you a better context to it. As soon as you give the context and ask Copilot, right, it will definitely give you the apt answer, or at least options which you can use.
If possible, can you show me how to do that?
I'm trying to log in. Give me a second.
Sure.
Not sure if this is active or not.
For Copilot, maybe we can have another session also, Ram.
Yes.
If
Okay.
it is quick, we can give it. I mean, if it
Yeah,
takes
actually,
minutes,
I
we
would.
can-
I mean, I would definitely recommend you guys install this, and if it doesn't help, right, use AWS Code Help. I mean, Code Whisper. But definitely, I mean, especially Manisha, for your use case, I'm sure Copilot will be able to give you more apt answer compared to asking a ChatGPT.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe we can meet again with the Copilot this
Yes.
session, right? Meanwhile, we all can install Copilot Labs and try using it. There are already lot many tutorials, and let's use it, and then probably we can share our experience and we can ask more better queries.
Yes. I mean, I would definitely, most probably your answers will be resolved directly by Copilot. If not, we will be able to resolve it during that session. So let me show you now the issue of structured data. Okay. So structured data, it becomes more complex because each field connected to other field. It's not like two set of characters connecting. It is two fields have some context to it, some data to it, and you need to understand how those are related. So for example, what we did is we wanted to train a I mean, because as I said, we have just handled unstructured data. Now let's handle structured data. Okay. Again, this is all again data is development data, but See, these are all employees who has those titles. And again, it is fetching it from CSV file in a structure from the database. And if you see the references, so this guy belongs to this department, this guy belongs to this department, this guy belongs to this department. Okay. So for example, okay. See, he is a SVP and it is not able to do it. So now I want it in a tabular format, for example. Again, this is all work of ChatGPT.
This is the kind of prompt that you have developed for your internal use, right?
Yes. If you try this, you will never get this data or this
Understand.
prompt. Yeah, see, I just asked it in tabular format, it gave it in a better format. Again, sometimes when as part of prompt engineering, if I put a space, right? Or sometimes I have to mark it that it is specific to employee, then only it gives you the data. See. So if you look at it, I belong to IT, Enterprise Solution Delivery and Support. And who is my manager? What is my employee number? So this is ChatGPT, but behind the scenes to get this data, you have to do a lot of activity and prompt engineering for this. I think we are only 6 minutes left, so I'll quickly run through it. Okay. So for that, any search engine or ChatGPT or whichever it is, you always need some search engine capabilities, which will index, which will rank, which will try to assign keywords to your query, right? So for that, what you need is an indexer, data source, and indexers. Index is nothing but what fields I need it to be displayed as part of the ChatGPT model. So this is the fields that I have selected for my database to fetch. Okay. From where do I fetch it? A CSV file from storage. And there is an alternative use case where we are doing a comparison between our product and a competitor product. What are the price, what they offer, and others. That is another use case which we are doing. Then what it does is, based on this index and from the data source, when the file is wants to be processed, we process it here. It will process all the it processes like a document. As I said, end of the day, ChatGPT or whichever it is, it always treats everything as a document and some referencing and indexes which are needed. Then there are nuances to how you want to set it up, right? So there is something called a semantic configuration where you basically which fields map to which fields that will help you for a better search engine capabilities. So this is critical for your output. Okay, the UI and this has nothing to do with it. Behind the scenes, this is the indexer and the open API models which are doing all heavy lifting. Okay. So now coming to prompt engineering. How do we build a prompt engine? For this question, what is the answer? I have to train my own model. So I can select whichever learning model I want to select. Okay. I can select what type of prompt I want and analysis which needs to do. And if at all I want to do a vector, I was talking about you previously, right? Search engine. How do you index your vectors? That you could do. And the custom models, whenever you're building and prompting, everything can be done in Machine Learning Studio code, which we are trying to do here. As I said, you have to learn Python to get better at these specific aspects of it. UI is fine. I mean, you can get UI done, but the real art is backend engineering. How do you deal with those different components? Because end of the day, I have 30,000 employees. I can publish it with a single select query. Why to take all this hassle to build it? But there is a value to it. I mean, somebody is asking in plain English, he is not writing a select query. And there is no database actually running the queries. It is actually search engine which is processing it and giving you the data. Yes, if you want accurate data, always select query will help you. But think about it in this way. Why do I need a database? I know the data. Let someone do whatever he wants it. He can prompt whatever he wants it. Let the model figure it out and provide you the data. That's the use case for a structured data which we are working with. Okay. Any questions? I think we are left with only 3 minutes. Again, the application, it's behind the scenes. Again, it's a Python which we have built here. If you can see, how many of you are familiar with Azure App Services, .NET code, or any other code? Azure App Services. If you're familiar with it, it's the same thing, but it's a Linux code which is running the application. Python code actually. Okay, any questions? I would prefer, I think Narendra, I would definitely prefer Copilot. And it's open source and free of cost. Even you can look at AWS Code Whisper as well. I mean, I'm demonstrating it from a local PC. That's the reason why I'm using Code Whisper instead of Copilot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Codium is a subscription type or no?
Again, the number of learning, again, Codium, we had a, I mean, again, this was before we have decided on Copilot. Basically, even Codium came to us and pitched their own way of their unique USP. You can use that application. But I mean, GitHub Copilot is early market access which it has provided. It has learned much more. Again, the number of documents or number of lines of code which GitHub Copilot has done is not the same case with the other one.
Yeah, yes, right. But I'm writing a I'm using Codium, just writing a just single line comment, like writing a login API, registration API. Codium is writing a complete API, just a fraction of seconds.
I mean, same thing.
Copilot,
GitHub Copilot will also do. I mean, I don't know if you haven't played with it, it will give you the same one. Again, as I told you, right, there is nuances to writing the code. This is, again, irrespective of whether you're using Copilot or Codium, it's a different story. What you put it in the comment is more important. Prompt engineering is important. Give it more context so that you get a better answer, whichever it is fine. So for example, you just create a login API. It doesn't set well. You have to say that, okay, I want it to be using OpenAPI standards so that it is compliant with OpenAPI standards. Then also you can ask for what kind of authentication provider you want to use. Okay. That will give OAuth, for example, I want a OAuth provider to be used. Then it will give you a right answer, whichever it is, Copilot or this one. So art of using tools, right, like a Copilot or others, it's a prompt engineering where your work is less. I'm sure if you just give login, it will give you a plain vanilla code, which you even can find it in the website as well. But if you want it to your context, you have to prompt it like that. I want it using OAuth providers. I want this code to be built. It will give you a better answer, I'm sure of it.
okay, and also I have one question. Can we access in this? I mean, models in OpenAPI?
These ones, again, these are, I mean, this is on request. I'm demonstrating it. These are not available anywhere else. It is very I mean, propriety of ComScope, you can't use it, but you open API and other models, if you subscribe to it, you will have your own models.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I think no, Ram. So already time is crossed. Okay.
Thank
So,
you all. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. So thank you for the wonderful session. I personally enjoyed a lot, and I feel like the entire team has enjoyed. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Ram.
Ram, just drop us the links, the important links that you have gone through, and
Yeah.
I'll share those links with the team if they want to play with.
Sure,
So
I'll
just
drop
share
it
the
in
important
the email.
links.
Yeah, sure. I'll
Yeah,
send it.
just drop it in the email. So Sarvani, just take care of the following. Okay.
Okay, thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you, Ram. Thank you, everyone. Hope we had a nice session.
Thank
It
you.
was a nice understanding of the topic. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.